All right, I'm gonna say hi to everybody. Hi, Sion. Hey, Kate. Hi, Nathan. Hi. I already said hi to Larry, Denise, Robin. Hi, everybody. We are just chit chatting before we get into today's conversation. How are you guys? How's life? How are you doing? Is it snowing where you guys are? What is snow? I miss snow. It's only
You're
been
already
almost 200.
I was about to say, just
It
wait
has
24
been.
hours.
What are you talking about? It's been 200 like 215 days since we had snow. That we're gonna we've hit records now. It's been so long without snow, so we're all getting like freaked out. Crystal, Lauren, hello.
I was
Oh,
sleeping
sleep.
in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah, we had that
I was
last
I
week
was
when it was raining.
I was sitting on a patio today. I don't know about the sleep.
Lauren, why are you like this? We're just trying to have a good time. Why are you like
Ah,
this?
sorry, guys. Here we go. Lauren's like, oh man.
Another live stream.
Um, no, another laughing attack. Michelle's already been laughing. How long?
You know what? I ate a good meal. Yes, I am. Hey, Jeff. I'm already starting. I think it's gonna be a good day. It's gonna. By the way, everybody, we will not be going live next week because I deeply believe in rest, as does Angela, and we balance Corey out. Hi, clearing a new path.
No, they outvote me. That's what they do.
Yeah, we
Oh
were
my
literally
God.
on a call last week, and we are like, "Oh, we're taking off Thanksgiving." Corey's like, "For what?" We were like, "Rest, a holiday." He was like, "Fuck that."
Bruh. And we were like, nah, fuck
Why?
that.
You could do both. You can eat turkey leg while working. Like, I don't
Nah,
understand.
dude. No. Mm-mm.
It doesn't
Cool.
digest the same. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
I know what I'm doing instead. I'm going to a meetup on Tuesday. It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna meet
Hold on.
people in my town.
So you are working? Crap.
No, a
See,
meetup. Like a no,
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 that's
no.
work.
It's
That's
a
working.
social meetup. No. You guys, it's like literally to eat food, like and hang out with people. It's no work. It's you guys are so East Coast. It's literally a meetup. Like it's nothing to do with work. Hi, Melissa. All right. So we're being crazy. We're gonna introduce ourselves now. Okay. And we're gonna talk about something. Lies. I'm not East Coast like that. This is literally we're gonna hang out and eat. Like that's it.
And not a word of what she does is gonna come up.
No,
Not even a
because I
romance pen name?
no. Even though I'm really excited. Oh my god, I'm really excited. I have discovered that there is a romance conference that is on my birthday weekend in one of my all-time favorite cities in the entire world. And I've decided that's my birthday treat. Uh,
Let me know when
What's
you're
the
out here.
city?
let's see.
What's the
I
city,
mean, of
Michelle?
course, I'll tell you offline. Of
Oh,
course. Hey, I keep it quiet. I typically don't tell people where I'm
I'm
going until
getting
I'm
one
back.
step closer to the pen name.
No, you're not. Yeah. All right. Okay. So we're gonna introduce ourselves. We're gonna have Corey go first.
This is my punishment, huh? My name is Corey Gums. I am the founder of the Black Podcast Association and founder of Black Pod News, blkpodnews.com, right here on Substack.
Why did I hear hi? My name is what? My name is
You sure you didn't have a couple with your food
no.
today? You just
Oh,
happy on
whatever.
life.
I'm happy on life. Okay, this is natural. That's why I don't have to do anything. Angela.
you know what? Before I introduce myself, I'm just gonna say I'm happy to see Michelle's joy back. So I'm not
Yes, because
gonna
I've been
shame her for
sad.
that thing. Um, my name is Angela Hollowell. You can barely see it on my shirt. This side, actually. I ride honey and no, I write. Lord have mercy. What are words tonight? I produce the Honey and Hustle podcast, which you can check out now wherever you get your podcasts. And in conjunction with that podcast, I write a complimentary newsletter on entrepreneurship and creativity called Please Hustle Responsibly, which you can find right here on Substack. Michelle, take it away.
Okay. Woo. So, hey, everybody. My name is Michelle Jackson. I run a project called Creators Getting Paid, where I share all the ways that different creators are making money online with their businesses. In particular, I focus on Black and Brown businesses. About 80% of the people I interview are people of color. I also run a project called Square State Colorado, because Colorado's square. And I talk about all things Denver and the state of Colorado. So if you're like, we're wondering about that lady who poured bleach on all the food. What's all that? What's
Oh,
happening? Like maybe I'll have a opinion on what's going on. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. So anywho, today we are talking about sponsorships and like what it's like to work with sponsors. Just we're just gonna get into it, and I feel like this is a great conversation for people to ask questions. I'll be right back.
First
okay.
question, where did Michelle go? Um,
You guys could go ahead and start.
I mean, you kind of left like a
Yeah.
cliffhanger there, though.
Oh,
Thank you, Lauren.
sorry.
Her timing. Yes, her
Yeah.
timing.
Sorry, I had a like an
She,
allergy or
she
something.
left us on a live cliffhanger.
So anyway, we're going to talk about what it's like to work with sponsors. You guys can ask questions, like the good, the weird, all the things. So I think what would be cool is maybe we can share how long we've worked with, like how did we start? I don't know. How should we even begin talking about this? Hmm.
We can give an overview because I think we all three have different experiences with it. I mean, not think
Okay.
obviously but and I guess since I started talking now, I'd volunteered myself to go first. So, um, I had my first sponsor for the podcast. It was like a holiday sponsored thing, which I should not have taken on, but it's fine because I was just so excited to be asked. And looking back on it, it wasn't really a great sponsor like fit for my audience. Um, and I should have just said no or pushed back and asked for more money. But I wasn't thinking like that. I had no experience with that. I feel like this was still when Twitter was like pretty big. And I probably could have asked more questions, but I didn't really know anybody to ask. I think like there just weren't a lot of indie podcasters working with sponsors at that time. So I didn't know who to ask directly. I didn't know I could negotiate. I didn't know I could push back. I didn't know the value of my audience, all those types of things. And I think just starting out, if you're thinking about working with sponsors, that might be a good place to start is writing down not only the size of your audience, but like who your audience is, like who you directly speak to and what brands you feel like, or what like groups of brands you think would be good fits for your audience. So for what I have was a regional show, but also primarily a business show, business and creativity. Um, a grooming product for men is probably not the best fit. I didn't think about that at the time. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it. I'm not going to say the name because everybody's going to know who it is.
We only want to know.
Manscaped?
Yeah, we're
Manscaped?
not gonna do it. Yeah. And that was just a terrible, terrible thing.
That's when they
But
was just throwing sponsorships all over the place. They
yeah,
didn't
it was.
care.
It was
Oh.
like when Manscaped and like Athletic Greens and what's that water that everybody likes? The water that comes in an aluminum can. Lauren, this is not a place of judgment. You save your
Oh.
questions to the end. So, but that water that everybody likes, what is it? Liquid Death. And it was like all of them
Oh
were just
yeah.
like throwing buckets of money into the podcast industry and like nobody was really talking about what that meant. And what, who was a good audience fit and things like that.
Yeah.
I was also thinking like I have had a shaved head for a while. So I was like, oh, I could use the razor to like shave my head, which I do. Really good razor, by the way, but not really a good fit for my podcast. So the next one that I went after going to Resonate for the first year was actually NC Idea, and that stands for North Carolina Idea. And they give a lot of like grants and money to North Carolina based entrepreneurs and people who teach entrepreneurship courses, stuff like that. So for me, that was a great one because I was asking at the November, because that's when Resonate is, and I was asking for February of the following year, which is right around there. They have two big grant cycles during the year. They have one in the winter, which is like the January, February cusp, and then they have one in the summer/spring. I think it's the summer. So they do them about 6 months apart. And those are $10,000 grants to entrepreneurs and $50,000 grants. So I'm like, I'm speaking directly to majority of the people who would be people who would apply for these grants. And that was my value proposition because I knew exactly who I was serving and exactly who I was talking to. They didn't care about the size of my audience. And I had less than, 200 subscribers. I hadn't even started the email list, for being honest. Let's just start there. But I had a list of about 100 folks and I leveraged that into a sponsorship. So that for me was just really eye-opening. It's like, okay, I was so honored to be asked by Manscaped, but yet and they were so curious about my audience size and my numbers and all these other things versus NC Idea, who didn't care about my audience size at all. They cared about the specificity of my audience and what was the likelihood that I could convert those people into applicants for their grant cycle. So that's been and that was a much larger amount of money. NCID gave me $5,000. I'm not going to say how much Manscaped gave, but it wasn't $5,000. Let's start there. But yeah, and I gave them the whole kit and caboodle. I did ads in my podcast. I did 4 episodes that month, all Black History Month themed. And I did 8 podcast articles because I was already twice a week at that point. So I was already insane anyway, out of the gate when I first started my newsletter. So that was kind of my first experience. And I think that just taught me a lot about what a very specific audience is worth, no matter the size, and really harping on the engagement of that audience and what we are going to do to acquire more people from that audience. So I'm going to stop there. There's been some other brand partnerships since, but that was maybe my biggest revelation around that. And they were super chill, very hands off. They I did some reporting at the end of it, but they were during it, they were not tripping about it at all. So, but that's not everybody's experience with a brand partner.
What about you, Corey?
My experience comes from the event side of things with dealing with my summer social. The first year had no sponsors, everything was out of pocket, which I probably will never do again. After my learning that experience. And every year it seems like I was able to get more and more, connections. I don't get a lot of monetary sponsors. I have a few. Tink Media was one of them. Uh, Edit Audio was another one. Um, but some of my sponsorship packages were like, okay, do you want to sponsor the open bar, which they would pay for the bar and everything directly, versus me handling them paying me directly. My experience is pretty good. Usually, a lot of times when somebody asks me, what can they can do to help, I'm like, well, do you want to sponsor? So I usually just go straight to the ask. This time around, we're working on a pitch deck for next year because we're trying to get bigger and better money. But when I started our sponsorship and slash partnership with Focusrite, that was more in kind. So it's we do a raffle, we do giveaways at our event. So they kindly sent us some stuff to give away, raffle off, and we do that every year. It seems like every year they send us a little bit more than what they sent previous year. I'm hoping this year that the conversation turns into something else. Um, Upcoming, since we're going on to our 3rd year. But I also, for me, looking at sponsors, I'm also looking at, I'm trying to build long term relationships with them, because the vision I have for what I want my event to become is a much bigger than just us doing a small event for 60, 70 people every year. And actually, we're working on our 2027 a possible conference. So we're now trying to get to the big leagues of sponsorship. We're getting, bringing in more money to do this conference. So, right, currently we're in a strategy mode, just trying to figure out who's the best fit for what we're trying to do, and in alignment with the message we're trying to get across. And in 2026, it's going to kind of be like our MVP. So I'm excited about the sponsors that we start talking to. We actually have some on our target list. I have a whole database we're putting together. So I never done that before. So that's what I've been doing. Shout out to Fabian Mickens. because she's helping me with that. So shout out to her. Um, but for me, it was always when I talk to sponsors, and I think for a lot of people who I've seen try to get sponsored, I think they're trying to hit home runs versus trying to figure out how to build that relationship with a sponsor so that if you're going to be doing this thing every year, they're going to want to come back and help again next year. And I'm always just trying to figure out what is the return on investment for them. What are they looking for? What do they want? What do they want to achieve from helping us do our event? Some of the people are they just like the idea and they see what we've been doing for the past couple of years and want to support it. Other people are looking for more brand awareness than anything else. So I like to ask those questions. I like to try to figure out, and I also will turn down some stuff if I feel we're not in a situation to be able to provide that because I'd rather not ruin that relationship by making promises I can't keep, and or ruining the experience for the people that are attending the event because we didn't find the right synergy between that and some of the people who approached me. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Um, when Angela was talking, I realized I was like, "When did I start doing this?" And I think it's important to share that beginning, which was similar to hers, where I didn't really understand what I had, and I was just, like, geeked out about it and probably low key broke and, like, trying to just figure all of it out. So I was a blogger for a long time before I ever added on these other components to my brand. And so a lot of bloggers were getting reached out to people who wanted to do a hyperlink in their content or, like, a little ad, which really is, like, weird in retrospect, right? And they would usually be like, "Oh, we'll pay you like $100." And I feel like that was probably one of the first ways I worked with a brand partner, if you will. Um, Over time, as I don't wanna say even that I got more sophisticated, I just understood that there was just a lot of different ways to work with a brand partner. So I was, like, rapidly typing in my laptop trying to find my media kit, which I need to figure out where the newest one is, but, I have definitely worked with a number of brands. Um, the the pay range has been broad. Uh, Typically what I've done when I've worked with a brand partner, and that would be to this day, I like to do um, campaign, and by that what I mean is I have a website that is not anything to do with Substack, guys. I have a website. I have a podcast that is not on Substack. I have a list. I just discovered I have almost 7,000 Substack followers as well. I have followers on Twitter, like, or say on Threads. So I have a brand ecosystem, and so when I'm talking to a brand partner, depending on who it is, I will pitch different things. I've had the good luck of having people reach out to me more often than me pitch them. But I actually think that if you're wanting to really work with brands, it makes more sense to pitch more than to wait for them to reach out to you. The only way that would make sense is if you are doing the type of marketing that most people are not doing. Like, most people so way under market that I would just say, don't think that you're marketing as much as you need to be because you're probably not, and I include myself in that critique, by the way. So I wanna also talk about, like, a brand partnership too. So I've gotten paid again from $100 to about 14,000 with a brand partner, and that was actually Experian, and it was multiple tiers to this. So they uh, flew me out to record like bespoke content for another client. In retrospect, I could have asked for more money for that project. But I was just so excited. I was like, "Oh my god, you're gonna pay me thousands of dollars for and fly me to San Francisco," and, like, it was super cool, but I'm like, "This is Experian." But now if I were asked to do the same thing, I actually have more components to my brand than I did then, and I think I have more sophistication around the conversation. Like I'm able to hold my own a lot more when speaking to an organization or a company or what have you about what I want. The thing I will say is you will have to walk away. Like you have to be willing to walk away. Lauren is saying that she has a local newsletter with 4,700 subs. She runs meta ads. Okay, okay. I love it. Now I love that you're doing that, but I feel like, huh? I feel like meta's not cheap. To Angela's point, but Angela could speak more to that.
I
I
have a
do
couple
think.
things. I think she's talking about the customer acquisition cost, so, like, the
Oh,
ad she's
okay,
running to acquire, not necessarily the ad she would get from a sponsor to put in her newsletter. So sorry about that confusion on my
okay,
end.
yeah,
I think
that's
that's what
different.
she's talking about.
Okay, um, and I think, I mean, that's kind of a like for me and how I'm thinking about this. It's not me trying to acquire people, but I'm being acquired, so if you will, to work for a company or on behalf of a company or in tandem with a company, and they are paying me to be on my brand related content.
I have a couple things I wanna jump in on, Michelle, if that's okay?
Please,
Um,
please.
so your partnership with Experian, their content with or, like, you were tagging them on your content, I guess, your blog, your podcast at the
No,
time? What was
no.
happening?
So that was a brand part. Like that was brands. That was more like a not even a partnership. That was I was hired to be their talent. That's a better way to put it. So that's in a gray area. That wasn't something where they were necessarily on my platform. I was the talent in something they were doing.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I'm asking because I did a branded show a couple years ago. I
Ooh.
guess that was 2023. Um, I did it remote, so I didn't get flown out, but it was also a five-figure deal.
Mhm,
Um, and, like, again, it was at a time, like, I feel like I negotiated it well. I wish there was more transparency around stuff like that. Like, what do people make for
mhm,
a show or for a season of a show, and what does that kind of amount out to per episode, and what is, like, the scope of work, right? So there's different levels to being the talent for a brand. I think for me, like, there's your UGC creators who are, like, making cell phone content from, like, their home and maybe licensing that content to be whitelisted for a paid ad, on social. Um, Lloyd George does a lot of stuff like that, essentially. Um, and then there's all the way up to stuff like you do where you're, like, really you're gonna be the face on their social media, like, but they're producing the content. You're kind of coming in as a talent. So you're not worrying about, the script necessarily all the time. You're not worried about the editing. You're not worried about the audience. Like, there is their own audience. You're just kinda getting in front of that, as maybe a more charming spokesperson than their CEO or their marketing exec. Um,
mhm.
what I did was maybe a little more of a hybrid where I was promoting the show on my social because obviously I wanted to do well, but I did not own the IP for the show, which I think going back, I maybe would have thought differently about. Like I maybe would have put term limits on that. Like after 2 years, I would have
Mhm,
the IP would have defaulted to me. But again, I didn't know to ask for that. I also like they had contracted talent before. They had two other shows where they had hired creators to be show host, and I didn't know what they made. But they also didn't do a video show, so I don't know if it would have translated well for what I was doing. So there's a lot of levels. I still don't know a lot. I know what the host of NerdWallet's show makes, but that's the only branded podcast I can think of that I know what the host makes per year. So there's not a lot of transparency around like what that looks like when you're like basically licensing your name, image, and likeness to a brand for a podcast or for social content.
And actually, for what I did, I was actually in a video series, so it wasn't a podcast. It was literally a license. Like it ended up being a license, like a white label product that would have been purchased by other people to use. So my likeness to this day, I'm sure like if they have that available and it's Experian, it's a whole show about what is credit. And
Yeah,
I'm just like, "Fuck!" Like
yeah,
in retrospect, I could have just negotiated so much differently, but I didn't have that experience at the time, and quite candidly, that was the COVID times. I was excited to get that money, at that point in time, and I feel like sometimes when we talk about these things, we're a little we're not honest often about how, like, sometimes the money comes when you really need it, and I think in that point in time with COVID in particular, I was thrilled to get that money, and I didn't necessarily feel comfortable pushing back because I just didn't even though I'd worked with other brand partners, it just was like this weird time and everything was weird. And so I was nervous to be like, well, can I like double that? Which I could have, I think in retrospect, asked because they still can use my likeness for as long because I didn't negotiate differently in that content.
yeah. But again, we didn't know. There wasn't a lot for
Yeah.
us to know at that time. Um,
It's part of the learning experience.
So, you know what I was thinking about, Corey? I feel like I made this comment to someone else, but I don't know where and like what why it came up. But I feel like sometimes with these conferences, in a specific niche, it's very easy to focus on the niche to provide the sponsorships versus like a shared need within the community, right? So like to me, if I'm you, I'm like not trying to get podcasting sponsors necessarily. I'm doing like maybe 20% them and then like the other 80% are companies that need humans that fall under
Oh, we wasn't
your
doing that.
demographics.
We weren't just gonna
No,
come.
no, I'm just no, I'm just no, no, no,
But
I'm
I know
just
what you
saying,
mean.
like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I want, like a deodorant company because we know, like, or
Under these bright
washcloths.
lights, under these bright lights, there is
Like,
nothing worse than being in a studio under bright lights where somebody's hygiene is questionable. I just want
I'm
people to
just
know that. So
saying,
that's a good
that's a good
example.
ad. That's a
That's
good
a good
ad. Okay.
example.
My point. Is,
I have
my
never in my
point
life
is,
thought about this ever.
I just think that like you've got this group of people and it's like what are all the things that they have in common that besides podcasting and then start with those things as companies to reach out to because yeah that's my thoughts, those are my thoughts,
Well,
they're deep.
so that that's part of the conversation. I'm always looking at adjacent industries and see and other and sometimes I'm also looking thinking outside the box of like what industries or what businesses outside of podcasting could benefit from being attached to podcasting? Because I think one of the biggest problems in the with podcasting is that it's so convoluted with all the different versions of what a podcast is and these different opinions and stuff on what is a successful podcast, what is it, so forth and so on. I think the barometer is set high with certain particular podcasts being where they're at, so everybody thinks that's where you're supposed to be. And even though like Edison research keeps putting out, especially in the Black space, about how our listeners will have said how they would react to certain, like especially like black businesses, black uh products pitched on a black podcast and the engagement there, I'm like, we're missing the ball in it. But I'm always looking at like what are some industries that we can work with that we could bring into podcasting and show them the power of the audiences in podcasting and why they need to be over here and
You know,
not just and connecting with us
i
and our audience and for me as an organization, our members. Um,
I deeply feel this. I deeply understand this. So, everyone, I'm in the Colorado Association for Black Journalists. So we had a really interesting conversation that I'll keep like very vague, and it was around like the value of our community related to like the broader community just in town, right? And one of the points that came up that I think many folks in marginalized communities will say is we don't have why is the onus on us to prove that we are of value to them. And I feel like in the way that you're talking about like how like the we know that Black audiences are valuable. We know that we are $1 trillion, like in terms of just spend and money and like $1 trillion. I don't want to have to like prove to you that my audience is valuable to you. I want to get in front of people who already know that. I want to be in community with people who already get that we are. Like, I want people to be reaching out to you. This is more like a broader frustration. This is not your approach. It's like, I want people to be like, "Oh shit, Corey has the like this community of people, and if you were to quantify all the people that they're talking to, like the whole Kevin Spacey, Kevin, what's his face, 6 degrees of separation. Now that's gonna bug me. Um, Kevin Bacon, 6 degrees of separation, not Spacey because he's a perv. Anyway, and all the other people that you're dealing with, and all their social media, and all their lists, like quantified, you have this huge reach. Why is it that the onus is on you to prove that what you're doing is valuable enough for them to be in front of the people that you serve? That's some bullshit. Sorry, I just got
Can I give
mad.
another perspective to this? Um, so I think, and this is specifically within the context of podcasting slash newsletters, and I'll explain what I mean by that. But I think like there's a company that I've reached out to. It's a Black-owned company. If I said it, you would know who it is. And I reached out to them about Melanin MVP because, of course, by the name, I serve women of color, everyday athletes, and sports fans. So I reached out to them, and they're just like, "Hey, we're through our influencer budget for the year, but come back to us at the beginning of the year when we've re-upped for the new year, and like you'll be in line." All right. And I think Corey has talked with sponsors who have said, "Hey, we want to work with you. You just didn't hit us up maybe soon enough, or the event just doesn't work with our budget. Try again next year. We want to include you in our budget, but it's about timing." So I think there's a couple different nuanced parts to this conversation. One, I think timing is very important when you're talking about smaller organizations and you're not trying to swing for the fences with a sponsorship. Like you're not trying to go for the $10,000 person first. You're trying to go for maybe the $500 or $1,000. There are organizations that can give it, but they're going to be smaller. They're going to have a smaller budget, and their expectations for specificity of your audience are probably going to be a little more stringent. So it's not that they don't care or they don't find a Black audience of podcasters and community valuable. It's just like you got to hit those three things at a very specific time. I think the other thing is that when it comes to money, they're just not going to be able to compete with, you know, they who should not be named Target that we don't shop from anymore. But like, you know what I mean? But like Target for a minute had a
Mm,
big like DI streak. Like they were consistently funding like
mm.
Terrell and Tabitha Brown and like all these other big Black influencers. Um, Thousands probably of dollars to work with them and get social with them and have them host red carpets for them. Um, and like your local whoever, I don't know, organization is not going to be able to compete with those amount of dollars. It's not a big deal,
But
but it's just the reality. I'm not done. I got you. We're gonna go back. The third thing I will say is that in my experience in trying to work with Black-owned brands, some of them like straight up don't know how to work with influencers. That's just not something they do on a regular basis with their marketing. Yes, you could do research and see who has worked with influencers before and try to only target them. That's a play for sure. But I think there are some others that maybe want to, they just haven't. Like they're just unsure how to measure success when working with a podcast or a newsletter writer. They're unclear on what success looks like for them, like what would be needed for them to feel good about the money they gave you. Do they necessarily, if they are at a point where maybe they're still a mid-tier company, but they don't necessarily care about clicks, maybe they care more about reach, and just getting it in front of the right amount of people. How do they measure what's enough? Are they measuring it against a meta ad where like people like Lauren are getting like less than $1 per new click or whatever? Or are they measuring it against social media impressions? What is it? What is their ROI per post? I don't know. I'm sure they have a bunch of different ways they measure that. But I think there's um, not a lot of clarity even too from the brand side of like, if you're a smaller brand, how do you even get into influencer marketing? And what does that strategy look like? What does a reasonable budget look like out of your already marketing budget that you have? And what does success look like? And how do they communicate best with you? So I just want to give Black people some credit here. I think they are trying. I think they want to. I think they care. But I think there's a couple of steps that we need to get to.
I want to make an important point because I think you guys heard me completely wrong. So, one, I don't agree with what you said. I'm talking about all your white sponsors with deep pockets. I'm not talking about small companies. Like
Oh,
the people that I'm thinking that Corey is likely wanting to work with or has reached out to are companies with deep pockets and marketing spend. And
okay,
this is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like, you know, some smaller company where there's a longer conversation around like educating them on a thing. I'm talking about people who are already educated on the thing.
okay.
Those people should be coming to going to Corey, not Corey having to beg them to understand the value of his audience. That's where I'm at.
Do what? Beg? We don't beg over
I'm
here.
not. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
We don't
Like
beg.
no, no.
And
But
I'm
I'm just saying. You see. You understand my point, though,
No,
right? Like
and you know, and that's kind of been what's been leading my philosophy the past couple of weeks. I've been working on some things behind the scenes, and with the team that I'm building, and my the thing that I keep reiterating with everybody is we need to build something that people, build it big enough they can't ignore it, right? And my New York attitude is like, well, f you. Now you go when you come to me. Now it's gonna be now we're gonna talk, right?
mm,
So okay, you keep ignoring me. You keep ignoring me. And the funny part is, I'm not gonna name no companies, but there's companies that say we support you. We want to be involved. They try to position themselves. As friends of BPA and stuff like that. And then when it's time, when I go to them and say, hey, we're doing our event again this year, here's the ask. And it's kind of like, oh, well, we already did our budget. And I even told one person one time, I said, listen, what I'm asking for, you have in petty cash. Like, I'm not asking you for a lot of money. You have in petty cash. I don't want to hear that. I said, because I see things popping up and you're throwing money at it. And I know that wasn't in your budget because it popped up because I'm very well aware of what's popping up and what's planned for the year, right? So it's like I see you jumped in on this meetup or you jumped in on this thing. I know that wasn't on there because I talked to some of those people and they didn't even know what they were doing at first. And then all of a sudden you see that, oh, now they got a sponsorship. Now they're doing it, right? So I kind of take, my attitude is build something big enough
mm,
where they cannot ignore you. And that's the stage I'm in right now. So like, and I agree with you, Michelle. My thing is, I'm not looking like I want to. I'm looking at those companies that have the deep pockets because I already know you guys are trying to get into our markets. You're always, that's. I think people need to understand the black market is where companies build their brands,
yep.
right? This is where they come to build their brands. And because what Angela was saying, like influence and like we not having the education, they come to build our brands because of that. Their brands because of that, and they can
Mhm,
play those games. That's why there's a disparity between black creators and influencers and white creators and influencers on the internet. On these platforms. So like we have to be very well aware of it. Um, and I'm very protective of my community because like last year podcast movement, I got pitched all the time and for apps and all these things, and people always like saying in the back, "We'll make sure you get paid." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what conversation is going to happen." And but I'm like, "But how does it serve my community, and what are the tools?" And I would also let some of those people know, like, I know what you're doing. You're using my community for user base and feedback and stuff, so that you can build this product and then launch it. And I'm like, I'm not going to allow you to forget about where your roots got started, right? So that's definitely something I'm very well aware of, and that's definitely something I talk about with my sponsorship and partners person about these companies and who we want to target and why we want to target them, and I definitely do look outside of like what companies can we bring to this space to have money and stuff, and I'm also like getting creative with it, like
mhm,
how do we talk to if we're going to do a conference and we're going to have people coming in internationally and nationally? How do we talk to airlines about is that a strategy we could look at? How do we talk to some of these companies that do air the not Airbnb directly but Airbnb type of setups, right? Like how can we work with these companies? So it's more than just like because for me I'm thinking of how can we improve this experience of this conference and make this as easy for people to attend and make it as affordable for people to attend as well while giving them this great experience and figuring out how this experience could translate to the to the sponsor as on a return on investment. So like we've been strategizing hard behind the scenes. So that's one reason why the
I
BPA has
believe
been
it.
so kind of quiet because I'm like focusing on that stuff. But I do agree. I agree with both of y'all. I talk to a lot of black businesses out here about like you guys. I don't care what kind of budget you have because there's a podcast out there that you could work with that will take the $100 of your marketing budget, and if you would. And I tell them like you don't understand how much you would save that podcast simply because you put a little bit of a sponsorship money to run some ads on their podcast. Um, but I've also learned that there's a disconnect and there's a lack of understanding of the power of podcasting when it comes. And I'm going to say just for this part of the conversation for black businesses, they don't like a lot of our community don't understand, and I'm going to assume they don't understand newsletters either. Because when I talk to them, they don't. So a lot of black businesses I talk to, they don't even have a newsletter. So that's part of the problem. I'm also trying to figure out how to solve in the work that I do.
I will, I was thinking is by the time those people circle back to you, that price has gone up.
God, Joe, right? Today, yesterday's prices are not today's prices.
Hey. I mean,
Look, like last year we had what 100. I had 100 members or 150 members. In 2024, we had 300. So yeah, the price is going to go up. We're at a different space now than we were a year ago or 2 years ago. So yeah, definitely.
so I think it'd be interesting. I was thinking about this as both of you guys were talking. Um, and it's funny because sometimes we disagree, but I actually agreed with everyone's point. But I thought it'd be interesting to share how we ask for money, like what that can be like. And I'll I'll maybe I'll start on this, which is one of the things that I have learned living in Denver around clearly a lot of white people is I ask for a hell of a lot more than I think I should be asking for. And I'm amazed when people say yes, and then I'm like, "Fuck, I should ask for more than
Should
that."
ask for more, right? Yeah.
So, like, when I was actively doing like sponsorships, actual sponsorships, and like really doing that, which I haven't done really this year, um, they would like I would be in conversation, and I was like, "I want $3,000," and then I would kind of do a scope of work that matched the money versus, like I want to impact and all these kinds of things, but I kind of like there was a certain amount that I always wanted to start at. I've I don't want to speak on behalf of Danielle Desir, who's a friend, but I've heard her say something somewhat similar, where she's like, there's a part where there's a starting point in her head, and then she kind of goes from there when she was doing sponsorships. And so I kind of have the same philosophy. Like if you're gonna start at typically at this amount, and then we're gonna go from there, right? Um, what are your guys' thoughts about just like, throwing the number out? Like what is your approach and process? Because my approach and process clearly is gonna be different in 2026 just because I have a lot more to work with. Um, and I'm not as nervous about the negotiation because I
So
used to be nervous.
there was a joke that happened at Resonate this year with somebody who I'm really cool with, and they gave me money for my event, and
Mhm.
they told somebody, a mutual friend, that I'm scared to ask for money. I am not scared to ask for money. What
I
I
Oh,
think
well,
am,
you don't ask
okay.
as much as you should. I'm gonna be honest.
yes, and and it was because for me, summer social is something that people enjoy it, and I get and the whole purpose of it is to connect people and bring people together, have a good time. But personally, um, okay. Oh, there we go. Now I have this live open out for the chat, and it just like blanked out on the screen.
Oh,
I thought we got disconnected. I
oh.
was like, look at the system hating on us. Now we're getting in places we didn't want to hear us talking about.
Cloud fire, cloud fire.
Like the summer social. I enjoy it. It's a great time, but it's not a personal project that I like to do. Right? I don't like doing events. I'm not an event planner. I don't. If I wanted to be in promotions, I would have stayed in the music industry and done like the clubs and all that stuff like my friends and I used to do back in the days. Right? But for me, like I said, I came out of pocket the first one. I said I'm not. So when I'm looking at how I'm doing the summer social, I'm looking at cost of venue. How much is it to get the experience? Like I would love to do open bar, have it catered and all this. And I could do that and I could do that and roll it into the ticket price. But I'm like, how can I get sponsors to help offset and carry some of this weight to keep the tickets affordable for the people who attend? Because I don't want to charge people $60, $100 for this. I want them to come and not worry about I want them to just come and have a good time. When I do my ask, it's basically at cost, right? Now I should probably be making money off of it, but it's not something I really want to do. So like I'm just like I just need to get this off my plate. So it's kind of like that part is where the issue comes in. And I've done that where like I've asked somebody for money and I'm like, damn, I should have asked for more, right? Um, that lessons learned. But see, for me, knowing that this is how I am, now I have somebody that's I've decided to remove myself from that process. Now, what I will do is tap into my network, start the conversation. That's why it was recommended we need to have a pitch deck where I could just be like, Corey, you don't need to talk, just start the conversation, give them
Yep.
the pitch deck, right? Or start the conversation and pass it on to the person who needs to have that conversation. That can do the ask and that's there to do the ask and to do the to negotiate everything. So that's where I've kind of like in 2026, we're changing the whole strategy. I'm removing myself from the process so that I don't undermine myself in the work that I'm doing.
I mean, the fact that me and another friend said the same thing, I'm glad that you
Yes,
recognize that it's not an area of comfort for you, and that's why you have a beautiful community to help you with that. By the way, everyone, this event that he hosts is amazing. Like it is so wonderful. I had such a beautiful time. Like I can't even I love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it. So he's laughing, but it's a beautiful event. So for a person who's like, you host an amazing event.
well,
You
that's because
really do.
I'm not gonna half-ass it either, right? I'll cancel it before if it's not gonna be a great experience, I have no problem canceling anything that we do, like, and I have like a very high standard for what I want to do. So that's the reason why. Um, but yeah, I'll just leave it at that point.
All right.
Angela, can you use your young eyes to read that?
Lord have mercy. Yes, but I will to jump in here for a second.
You,
Um,
I could read it. It's on my
cool.
screen, big.
So
Context, like what?
Nicole says the other side approaches sponsorship starting at 50K. We approach it like 10K as a gold mine. That's the shift that needs to happen. Add 2,500 to anything you are doing, and then let them say no. Negotiate from there. I have a couple of thoughts here. One is on communicating with sponsors, which me and Corey did not have this conversation, but I think it's important to have here. And then the other one is Michelle originally asked how we talk with sponsors about money. Um, so I think in terms of like creating a repeat relationship with a sponsor, like I was one of the sponsors for the social at Resonate, and my only halfway critique is that I would like more communication after I've already agreed to it. Like, keep me
That
up
was
to
my
date
fault. That was my fault.
and just like let me know what's happening. Send me photos. Like, I don't need to know like who all. I don't give a shit. I have my deliverables. I told Corey what I wanted out of it. I got that. you know, but just communicate, be more proactive about them, like let me in on the process, especially this is like my first time sponsoring something. The other half, so I am a freelancer by trade. So like I've never just been an online creator. This is actually a relatively new part of my creative business journey. And I think that for me, like coming and pricing 5-figure film deals and then trying to do the same with my online business, it just does not translate well. So while I agree that $50,000 probably is reasonable for an event, 1,000%, especially like the ones Corey is doing, where it's like a dedicated event, for a community, you're planning it months in advance, like, it's you know what I mean? Like, that's probably reasonable. Anything 5 figures is probably reasonable for something like that. But I think, like, pricing it out for me just looks so different. Because even with every event that I'm doing, um, I'm thinking about what would I charge as a director, a producer,
Mhm.
my entire editor? What does social look like? What does marketing look like pre and post event? Like I'm approaching it from a production mindset. Like, what does it cost if I was doing this myself for my company? What would it cost? I'm not thinking about it like, what would a solo creator do? That's never been me. You know what I mean? And I think even for now, the podcast and the newsletter, and hopefully in the future, the YouTube channel, like I'm still kind of in that mindset. And I think it works. I think that you as a sponsor have to be clear on what we want. I was clear. But I think that when it comes to pricing, you can do it a couple different ways. For the show that I did, for the branded podcast that I did, where I approached as a talent, what I did was I priced out per episode how much I would charge if I was recording someone else, basically. So I basically charged camera operator rates instead of like podcast host rates for that. And then I charged another percent on top of that to be the creative director because I was having to be like in the edit and communicate with the audio mix, communicate with the video editor, communicate with the social person. So while I wasn't doing post production, I still had to like oversee that. To me, that's another charge. And then I charged on top of that for pre production. So again, I'm approaching this from like a filmmaker's perspective. Like, what are the elements of production? What am I responsible for? And what would I charge as a filmmaker? So that's how I ended up pricing that out. I think for online stuff, some of it, and I've told them I've used AI, like what is they are asking for this. Here's my audience size and like like my core audience. Here's what they identify as. What is this audience worth for what they're asking? And charged according to that. And I think I was pretty spot on because they weren't trying to pay your girl at all. And I was like, that's real cute. You think you're gonna use my name and likeness on social? Absolutely not. For the free? No, ma'am. But 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 yeah, so I think like you have to first understand like your audience is worth something, your face is worth something, your name is worth something, and you never want to just take $1 to get in front of someone's audience for free. Number one, or put a brand in front of your audience that doesn't value you and your audience. Let's just say it like that. I think also like being a filmmaker is the rates I would charge are probably higher than an online creator because I'm never thinking about, oh, I'm just doing this with my cell phone or, oh, I'm just writing this from my lap. I don't give a shit if I wrote it from this freaking coffee cup. You guys are paying me for the knowledge to know how to write it from this coffee cup. So, so that's how I think
uh,
about it.
I do want to mention something. We're talking about sponsorships, but we aren't talking specific to just podcasts. I've had I have a podcast, but I had an event. I hosted an event. I like there's different things that we've used sponsors for. And so I do want to clarify that. I think because we all three podcasts that we talk about it a lot, but I've had sponsors for multiple different things from newsletter, from my newsletter to events to the podcast. So it depends, it's a broader conversation than maybe um it seems. We're talking more broadly. Um and I actually get nervous sometimes. Like I like the guides, but I like to charge more than the guides. So because the guide, it's like, I don't want to lowball your girl. And usually they're lower than what I'm charging,
Well, they're
right?
like an average. So there's, of course, going to be
Yeah,
people higher than that. So,
I want to be higher than that. So
mm,
that's why I'm focusing on my list. That's why I'm focusing on all these things. Angela, I think, has the best uh, click through rate for her newsletter. So like things like that where you can communicate, I think so. Communicate.
it's
That's
pretty decent. Like it.
Michelle. um, I'm teasing you, Nicole. I'm teasing you, Nicole. So those are the things that I want to be able to
I think she's
communicate.
actually talking to Michael, not you. She wasn't
The
trying to
other
tag in them.
Michael.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what, Nicole? Okay, fine. Okay, fine. You know what? This is why you use your peepers to read the like the chat. Uh I'm wearing my contacts, by the way, guys. um, yeah, I don't want to be average in what they're paying me. I want to be an outlier all the time, all the
Uh,
time.
I want to talk to Lauren specifically. She's talking about writing a local newsletter.
Yes, Michael.
Um, and I think that local newsletters, quite frankly, is very surprising they haven't popped off on Substack, but they're like a
Yeah.
thing for sure on Beehive. Like tons of local newsletter operators. I'm talking like there's a guy in Wichita, Kansas making like six figs. And I'm like, what the hell is in Wichita? But anyways, I think like there's there's a group, maybe not on Substack, obviously, but on Beehive that could probably better help you with like negotiating ads for like local businesses. I am sure those nice white men have something you can look at to see what they have charged for different ad slots. I think too, like one thing I've learned from them is like there's a difference between a primary and a secondary. There's a difference between a
Hmm.
mention and like a photo. Like they have it standardized to a T. Like I definitely feel like being on Beehive has helped me understand like the cost of placement in a newsletter, but also like helped me test and iterate like where things perform best. So you can also have an idea of like how something is going to perform if someone's paying you for a secondary slot or just like a mention or a primary slot, how many times it might take for your audience to warm up to that brand via newsletter. For me, I found that it takes at least two sends. The first one usually doesn't perform that well, but I think when people see it the second time, they're like, oh, okay, cool, got it. She's really serious about this. But you also have to understand that not everybody reads every single newsletter. So it's better for the brand too, from a safety perspective, to bundle a newsletter sponsorship
Yeah.
in that way. And I would say probably the same with a podcast. I would probably say just because especially for posting regularly, may not always tune in, but they're going to hit at least one, like your loyal followers that are always checking in, that are going to be more likely to click and engage anyway. If they miss the first one, they're probably going to see the second one. So it's just a de-risking of that as well.
I always think about like, one, who am I partnering with? To Corey's point, are they a right fit for my audience? Does the campaign make sense for the my audience as well as for the partner? So typically that's why I like these bespoke, like designed campaigns so that I can hit some of the pain points that I think they may have. I personally do not like to do, I think my brand's just small enough that I don't like doing conversion campaigns. I like awareness because it takes some pressure off of me, but it doesn't mean that I don't work hard on behalf of them. It just is a better fit. So like I can like, share who you are, do all the things, whatever. But I'm not stressed out because you're wanting me to get, you know, 30% conversion or some weird number and that I'm not going to hit even if I had a really high click through rate with my newsletter. So,
Can I ask a quick question here? I know we've been going for like an hour and I can't stay on forever, but I do want to ask this
yeah.
question because I think it's important. Um, I've seen various methods for people accepting sponsorships. One of them, and what I mean by that is some people have forms where people can like apply. Well, there's two types of forms. I've seen one where you have to like apply and kind of say like, hey, this is what I'm interested in. This is the relative dates. This is my budget. I've seen other people that say you can use the form to fully secure the ad without ever talking to the writer. And you put in, the date you want. You can, they have different rates for whatever you select the date you want. Like I think you did that, Michelle. You select the date with the price. You put in your ad copy, your logo, maybe if you're selecting a primary spot, the link you want people to go to that's trackable. And you give that to them and it's pretty automated. How do you guys feel about that for newsletters specifically? I think it may be a little, I don't see it as much for podcast or for YouTube, but definitely for newsletters. I've seen forms being used to accept sponsorships.
Corey.
That is actually a process I'm working on now for my newsletter. And I actually looking at a platform that could help facilitate all of that, where they could upload all their copy, any images and all that stuff and pay everything through the platform. Only issue I have with the platform is how much they take of that. So
Oh,
I'm trying
really?
to, yeah. So, I was just like looking for something that makes I have a lot to juggle already just to make that process smoother. and hopefully generates enough income where I could hire like a VA to come in and just just run that part for me. Um, or just run certain key components of the newsletter along with the ad space. But I kind of was thinking of doing like a form. You select the dates, you make your payment, and then we just run, we just with it, run it like that. The issue the only area of concern I had was, the one thing I liked about the platform is you can approve who you want. Like you can approve and reject the ads. And that was the only concern I had was like, by having a form where somebody could just sign up and pay and lock in a date, you kind of don't know until you don't have any like really quality control over that ad in the way I was thinking of doing it. Now there might be processes and other things I don't know, something like I said, I've just been investigating and just trying to figure out on my side.
Um, I am not excited about it, I'm be honest, but I also have decided really like this week that how I'm gonna approach ads in 2026 specific to the newsletter is gonna be very different. I'm going to be leaning really deeply into affiliate marketing. And the idea that I have is the affiliate conversions when I'm like really focused on it with the companies that I've been working on, they do well. Um, and the idea that I have is if I'm able to convert at a high enough rate, I can reach out to the affiliate manager and negotiate an actual partnership down the line with a company, with a brand that I have a true affinity with. So that's kind of how I'm approaching that. I also want to have my products be my ads. So that's the other part. Like I just want to sell my shit. So either I have an affiliate, not a lot of them, just a few that I'm sharing over and over and over again throughout the whole year. We could get in a whole conversation about like cookies and all that kind of thing, and you know how that can play out. But that's more what I want to do. I want to sell what I spent all year building. I have a book that I'm writing for next year. Like I just have stuff I want to sell, and I don't know that I want to put a lot of ad space towards somebody else. They have to pay me good money. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Okay.
You guys, we
I don't
need to
have a big oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I don't have a big opinion on forums. I don't know how to feel about them yet. Most people just hit me up through
okay.
LinkedIn if they want something, but I
We
don't know. Maybe it's something I'll try. I don't know. We'll see.
we forgot to talk about some changes behind the scenes, and we definitely need to talk about them before we sign off because I'm tired, guys. Are we? Do we feel good about what we've talked about tonight? Like, dear audience, have we like talked about what you think we should have talked about? Are there any questions before we touch, like, before we talk about this next topic real quick? We have a announcement, some things to share. So just let us know if you feel like we've covered what you hoped we would cover. I love the hearts. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. I think they're good. I think they're good. So we have been going live for literally just shy of a year. And I will say, like, we fuss at each other and stuff, but this is like these two are like my relatives. That's why we fuss at each other the way that we do. Okay. They're like my siblings. And I am writing content and recording stuff where I've said this, but I want to be very clear. I am so blessed that these two said yes to doing this. I'm so thankful to them. They might be crazy, but I appreciate them, and I just I appreciate you guys very very much. Sorry. Um, so sorry. So as the year wrapped up, as is wrapping up, we realized we're like we're kind of still digging this, and Angela came up with the name because uh stop it, Lauren. Um, um so we now have a more formal name, and we also have an event that we are in the process of planning. So, Angela, dear Angela, if you could share what the name is of what we have kind of come to, like what the ethos of what we're doing is now called, and then we'll talk about the event that is coming in February.
All right. Can I get a drum roll, please? Corey, do the honors. Thank you so much, sir. So basically, we love you guys so much that we said on our 1 year anniversary, we want to host something really,
What I
really
do,
fun.
Lauren.
And we decided that we wanted to come up with a name around this new virtual series that does not live on Substack so that nobody will get confused and come to Substack and wonder where we are. So we created the name the Anti-Grifter Social Club, and you're all invited if you are not a grifter. Now, once you pass that very important test and learn the secret handshake, you can now be invited to our free virtual summit that is happening February. It's going to be 2 days, 5 speakers, tons of giveaways, tons of awesome Q&A and time with the speakers. We're going to be so happy to host you guys. If you are signed up to any of our email list, you will see the link to RSVP for free for this event in February. We're letting you know 3 months in advance. That's how much we like you guys, okay? This is just for y'all. Just for y'all. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Michelle, Corey, do you have anything to add?
We appreciate you so much. We definitely want you to we'll give you more like information as time goes on. As you're listening to our podcast, our news, check out our newsletters. We'll be sharing more details as we get closer to February. That's about it. Again, I'm Michelle Jackson. I run Creators Getting Paid. I interview creators and I share how they like to make money in the creator economy, which is real. Angela.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jen. Thank you for hanging out with us, all 55 of you guys. I love a good, nice number like 55. Now, I'm not going to say what other numbers I like. We're just going to keep it moving. All right.
6, 7. Let me stop.
Oh God. No. God
I
no.
had to. I had to.
That's so funny. Also, I also want to mention that we only have 2 more live streams for the year. So 2 more. And then we will see you guys sometime in the new year. And of course, at the virtual summit when you guys RSVP for free to hang out. My name is Angela. I write Please Hustle Responsibly. It is a newsletter for community for creators to learn, connect, and grow. You can find me here on Substack. I would love to have you guys. Tons of fun stuff coming up, and I cannot wait. Early happy Thanksgiving if we don't talk between now and then.
Corey.
I just want to say thank you to everybody. I'm excited for the summit. The speakers we have, you're not going to want to miss these people. These are people who have been doing this a long time. Um, some of them are really great friends of mine as well. So like, I'm excited about it. Uh, my name is Corey Gums. I am the founder of the Black Podcast Association as well as Black Pod News, a newsletter right here on Substack. So if you're not subscribed, subscribe today. You don't want to miss out on that. We have some things rolling out in 2026 that I'm excited about too, as well on our newsletter. And I'll just end it with, everybody be safe, enjoy your holiday weekend if you celebrate. Or you could be like me where you just won't work through the whole holiday.
Oh Lord. Boy. You know
The grind
what?
never stops.
You
Please
know
get the
what?
money.
You know what? Okay, so by the way,
But
I
I'm
do
gonna
want to
go see
share.
Wicked.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
So
awesome.
Love
that'll be
that.
all play.
I do want to share the last 2 dates before we go. We are good. We will not be live streaming next week. Corey will be working. I'll be at the fun happy hour. Angela will be mysterious,
Relaxing because I need it. So we're good.
relaxing.
Yeah.
On December 2nd and December 9th is the last live stream. It will be like a party. Think of it like a holiday party. December 2nd, we're going to be talking about our predictions for 2026. That's what we're up to. So predictions for 2026. December 9th is our holiday party. Okay? All right. See you guys later.
All right. See you guys.
Bye.
All right, everybody, have a good night.
Good night.